This is an issue here about early warning among the processors. I know you're all competitors, but would you share results with your competitors? If the industry was sharing the results of their private audits and private controls, whether you're a feed mill or whether you're a processor or whatever, we could avoid problems. And in fact, in Ireland, one of the meat processors identified horse meat in Polish product last June, and they just said that was in-house. They just sent the consignment back. But if they had have shared that with people, we could have avoided that whole scandal. So that's key. Like when we're going to drive on with the bigger herds, like the family farm is special. The family unit, you know, up to 110, 120 cows, whatever it is. But once you start getting bigger and bigger, it's efficient production, zero grazing, all that sort of thing. It looks great, and if you're a dairy guy and you get off on this, you go orgasmic when you see these big herds, 500, 600,000 herds. But what you might think is efficient production, there's another group of people that talk about factory farming. And so you have to be very careful that you don't switch off your customer base, which is basically urban. Like, small is good and big is evil. That's what the public sometimes think, whether it's laying hens or milking cows. It's not the size of the farm, but the way that it's managed that is important. This is Rosanna Davison, and she actually was Miss World. She's Irish. She's actually said that she gave up eating dairy products and went down 2 dress sizes. So, like, there's a lot of ladies out there that say, you know, but you can't ignore she has a huge bunch of young women that she influences. They'll be the mothers of the future. They'll be their customers. So if she's switching people off dairy, you just can't ignore that. And again, she's also in addition to, she says that dairy products are unhealthy. She says she's also on a crusade with another organisation, PETA, about animal welfare and, you know, turning a cow into a milking machine. And people listen to this. Listen to this. This is actually, you know, get your kids to do it if you don't do it yourself. This is actually a little cartoon clip of factory farming. And this is what your future customers are watching. When this went up on the web, in 8 weeks there was over 7.5 million people looking at it. So you can't ignore this sort of stuff. It's out there. And there's a cow in this and she's in a crate and she's been pumped up. And so this is what the customers are looking at, so you can't ignore it. Antibiotics are like the F word in Brussels and with the public, super bugs and all that sort of thing. So antibiotics and other animal remedies are to assist good husbandry, they're not to replace it. So we have to watch that like a hawk. There's a huge challenge to connect with the customers, and this is an initiative in Ireland, like Agri-Aware, have a farm in the zoo, and the kids and see people think that milk comes from cartons. Get surprised, gee, it's far handier to get it out of a carton than milking a cow, they say. So, but this is an issue outside of Ireland. Like, and we talk a lot about our own market. Like, Ireland is only the minor game. Senior game is outside, so we just have to be watching this animal welfare issue. This is another one now. The whole issue about is milk healthy for us? There's a huge, I know it as a doctor, there's the amount of stuff that I get from people that are nothing to do with farming or nothing to do with dairy about milk being bad for you. Like, you know, casein is the most relevant cancer promoter ever discovered. We think casein is a brilliant protein. These are 2 websites, you know, milk the deadly poison, don't drink your milk. And so you can't ignore this because this stuff is getting traction among our potential customers. Dump dairy. You know, these are all websites that are out there. A whole lot of people on a crusade. The truth about milk, and it's not the methane. Sure, look, we nearly had it here. They were going to ban advertising of cheese to kids, and Coveney has entertaining Chinese people trying to encourage them to buy more dairy products from Ireland. And at the very point that they were here, there was a big argument going on about banning dairy products for kids, you know. This was a cartoon from the Farmers Journal. The ma's going to take a picture of the kids. Say cheese. This guy from the Broadcasting Authority of Ireland says, no, you can't say cheese before 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. Allergies. You hear so many people talking about milk allergies. And so it's kind of nearly fashionable to say your kids have a milk allergy. But this is how you test for allergies. So most of the kids, when you test them for allergies, they don't have them to milk. And the ones that do, they grow out of it. And so, but it's a kind of a fashionable thing to say your kid has got lactose intolerance. And so this is the sort of thing that gets traction. The National Dairy Council is promoting the nutritional quality of milk in Ireland. But again, we've got to look at the bigger picture, the outside stage. So like we've got to look at, there are actually, cows give different composition of milk, different genders, a different fat composition with some cows. And so Marks and Spencer's are paying a premium for a particular type of fat in the milk. And now the big challenge is to modify the composition of the milk by the rations you feed the cows. Cow nutrition is key. And so the animal nutritionists used to say, animal nutrition, advanced animal nutrition for better food conversion efficiency, weight gain or milk yield. But now they're talking about advanced animal nutrition for the benefit of human health. If people say there's too much cholesterol in the eggs, don't worry, we'll give the laying hens a ration that will give you eggs with no cholesterol. If people are worried about something in the milk, like the cow's rumen is like a fermentation vat, and by changing the diet of the cow, you can change the composition of the milk, and this is the way we need to be going and looking. Life stage nutrition, this is just a thing that they're talking about in human nutrition. Pigs, little pig lives 150 days. He's got 7 different diets in his life. But for us, apart from infant formula and breast milk, the rest of us, we're just eating all the same stuff. The pigs are better actually diet, and so the whole thing of diet-related disease and obesity is a huge, huge issue in public health. And so we need to be looking like you're producing food for humans, the fundamental food for the body. So basically, you're in the health business, not in the milk business, in the health business. Doctors and nurses, they're not in the health business, they're in the sickness business. So that's the way to look at it. But life stage nutrition, we need to be looking at, have we got a product for the different life stages, so babies to grandparents, people with active lifestyles and sedentary lifestyles, the different nutritional requirements. Males are different from females. Don't all of it, I just picked out a few, like infant nutrition. We've made phenomenal strides in Ireland on infant nutrition. And the science of infant nutrition is just fantastic. We've nearly got it as functionally the same as breast milk. But we can't afford anything to go wrong, because perception of risk is much different when you're talking about infants. Anything goes wrong with a child, massive publicity, massive panic. It's like you'll see people juking across the motorway or running across the road, but you never see people with 2 kids running across the road or weaving with a pram in between the traffic. Anything to do with kids, people are worried. So therefore, the infant formula, we can't afford anything to go wrong with the infant formula. Rapidly growing children. It's quite amazing how the amount of fizzy drinks that the kids are drinking. So they're drinking Coca-Cola, it rusts nails, rots your teeth, and has absolutely no nutritious value and carries a premium price. So back to what I was saying about creative, we need to be far more creative about how we advertise milk, which is highly nutritious for kids, to kids. If Coca-Cola were advertising milk, they'd be doing it in a different way. And it's interesting that Pepsi have bought a big dairy company in Ukraine, and they're using the marketing strategies for the fizzy drinks for milk there. And it's just, we could learn from that. This is actually Korea. In Korea, they have fed the cows flaxseed, and so there's omega-3 in the milk, and so they're marketing this milk as Einstein. You want your child to be a genius. You want to give it plenty of this milk. So we have to go to Korea for that. We don't have it in Ireland yet. The amount of people, every one of you knows someone that has actually fallen over and broken their hip. And old people are flying along grand, and they're doing grand, they slip in the ice and they break their hip. The next thing, they start to age rapidly, they lose their confidence and everything. And so basically, calcium is key. And so the whole idea of, especially in post-menopausal women, we should have them all drinking milk. It's interesting, you go into a pub in Ireland and you ask for a pint of milk. Geez, they look at you if you have 2 heads. Old age can be a great time, if you're healthy. If you're healthy. If you're not healthy, it's a tough time. And so there's a condition in the old people, they start losing muscle mass as they get older. That's why your father and mother or grandfather got frail and got smaller and smaller, because they're losing muscle mass. But if you can hold a muscle mass on an older person, keep them upright, keep them mobile, they won't fall over, they won't be frail, and they'll keep out and about, and they'll get stimulated, and less likely to get dementia. The best bioavailable protein we have is whey protein. Where's it going? Into wiener pig rations, because of anabolic effect, and into the sports nutrition. And so now Glanbia is looking at the science of sports nutrition and the science of infant formula and saying, hold on a second here, there's some huge synergy between the two of these for nutrition in the elderly. Like whey used to be a byproduct of cheese. Well, you see, cheese will soon be a byproduct of whey. That's a picture of me with my shirt off. But basically, if you feed the old people, they're not able to eat T-bone steaks. They haven't got the digestive system to handle it, and they haven't got the teeth to chew it. So you need to give them something that's readily absorbed, and whey is the one, So there you are. There she is. So the idea, could you imagine, if you see the profit margins in cosmetics? Do you know what I mean? I keep a few horses, and if I want the horses' coats to shine, I'm not rubbing in moisturising cream into them. Put something into the feed, and the next thing you'll see the coat shining. So we have a product that can slow down the aging process. But we don't market it like that. Nobody wants. Put up your hand here if you want to get old. We have a product that can slow down the aging process, but we're not, you know. I mean, I was going to America one time and I picked up the brochure on the plane and they were advertising some anti-wrinkle cream. And I guess it said, this cream will delay your cosmetic surgery by 10 years. Well, you have the product. Like, you are what you eat. And people only, I notice it as a doctor, people only worry about what they're eating when they're sick. Up to that, you wouldn't put diesel into a petrol car, but most of us eat anything. So that's the thing, that we've got a very nutritious product, but we have to keep pushing it and be creative about how we get market share. Old age, this is what they're saying now. 60 is the new 30. And 90 is the new 60. You should be able to do everything that you did when you're 30 when you're 60, and you should be able to do everything that you did when you're 60 when you're 90. And so we have an ingredient. Keep the muscle on the old people, keep them upright. Job is OXO. Media amplifying risks. Coming to the end now. This is actually a huge issue. You can't ignore this. That basically the media love sensational stories, and so you have to be ready for it, because like deadly pesticides in infant formula, you know, dramatic increase in milk allergies, and fire away. And you can't ignore it and say, well, I'm here and I'm actually worried about price volatility. I'm worried about so many cents per litre for the milk. I'm worried about production. I'm worried about grass. You have to think about the consumer all the time. Social media is huge now. Just press send and truth or lies, millions will know in seconds. I mean, you cannot control the media now. In fact, every one of you has a camera in your phone that's as good as, like when that plane landed on the Hudson, do you remember that? The picture that was on all of the network channels was actually a fella that happened to be walking by and saw it coming down and took it with his phone. So like, the citizen journalists are the thing. So anybody can send out a message now, an opinion and fact, it all can go viral. There's a competition between the producers of the newspapers and the TVs, etc., to get coverage, you know. So basically they have to invent some news if there is no news. And the journalists say it's more important to be first with the story than to be 100% correct. So the conventional journalists feed off the social media and vice versa without having time to verify it. And so if your product gets implicated in a scare, the next thing it can go off into the stratosphere on you. And you might remember this one. There was a bean sprouts outbreak in Germany in 2011, and somebody put the finger on cucumbers from Spain for a while. The whole Spanish cucumber harvest was devastated. Nobody wanted to touch them. That was the end of them. And Russia banned all salads from the entire EU, all on the basis of the coverage. If a picture paints 1,000 words, what could a YouTube clip do? This is a 7-minute YouTube clip. Jamie Oliver, celebrity chef, started talking about lean, finely textured beef, mechanically deboned beef. It's a system that they have in the US of taking as much meat off the carcass after the conventional butcher has taken it off. And they add ammonium hydroxide to it to kill the bugs. Ammonium hydroxide is actually an approved preservative. Kills bugs, you know. And he was talking about, in this clip, he talks about toxic chemicals in your children's mince, you know. But like, there's ammonium hydroxide in his own mayonnaise. It's also a leavening agent in bread. But he got the traction, and he's after killing off that whole sector. McDonald's had to come out, Taco Bell's had to come out, say we've stopped using it. Cargill had to close down 3 factories. So basically, if somebody like this started bad-mouthing dairy products, you know, we'd be on the back foot. Farmers are first step in the food chain, and so we don't play hard enough on the farmers in Ireland. That we've got something very special here. But quality assurance in the dairy now, we're going to have Bord Beer launching their scheme on the 11th of December. People are reluctant, saying, yes, what do we want, more red tape. But look, we need everything that we can do, belt and braces, to protect us from a scare. And if we have to go a little bit extra, we're thinking about the long term, not the short term. Crisis management plan for the processors. Are you ready? Are you ready if something goes wrong? You know, I always say it's too late to build the ark when you hear the thunder. You have to be ready, and you have to have a tested plan, because with the way the media goes now, it just explode on you. Final take-home message. You're in the human health business. Thank you.